All right, so last week, obviously, we did a whole bunch of joke things about what was at the Game Awards, but now we actually have gotten past the Game Awards, and there were a bunch of big announcements, and thankfully, none of them were as dumb as the ones that we came up with. So, just to kind of do an overall set of highlights here. Okay, everything announced at the Game Awards. And this is in no particular order. So, The Witcher 4 was revealed with Ciri, who is a character in Witcher 3, at the helm of the game. The new Naughty Dog game, which was the last thing they announced, called Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, which is a brand new IP, first new IP since The Last of Us, and that was revealed, a cinematic trailer for it. There's the Elden Ring spin-off, Night Rain, which is a roguelike co-op game with fall damage removed, and has bosses show up even from Dark Souls 1 and 3 at the very least. I think Dark Souls 2 as well. Let's see here. There is a look at the next product from the developers of Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian. Doesn't have a name for it yet. Borderlands 4 was revealed. The Okami sequel was announced. Outer Worlds 2 was given a trailer and says it's coming in 2025. Mafia: The Old Country will launch next summer. More about Tales of the Shire. Black Frost: The Long Dark 2 coming to early access in 2026. First Berserker Kazan is coming March 27th, 2025. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered was confirmed for PC, coming out April 3rd. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to PC in January. Thick as Thieves. I don't really remember what that game was, but it's just another game that was revealed. Slay the Spire 2 got a gameplay trailer. Hazelight, which is the developer behind games like It Takes Two and was it No Way Out? No, I don't think that's the name of the game. I can't remember, but it's various co-op.
So.
Yeah, maybe it was. Anyway, various co-op games they've done over the years. They revealed their new game called Split Fiction. New DLC announced for Dave the Diver. Project Century is a new game from the Like a Dragon developers. A new pixel art survival game called Kiora was revealed. Rematch is a football game that is soccer game from the Seafood developers. Solasta 2 was announced with a new cinematic and gameplay trailer. Pal World Faybreak update arrives shortly before Christmas. Killing Floor 3 is coming in March. Multiplayer horror comedy Midnight Murder Club enters its crossplay beta. Helldivers 2 new Illuminati faction is out now. Den of Wolves is a new heist game that they just revealed gameplay. There's a new Ninja Gaiden platformer game, a 2D platformer called Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Shadow Labyrinth with Dark Evil Pac-Man was revealed, also a 2D platformer, or 2.5D. A cozy car trunk filling and unfilling sim, One Move Away, is coming in 2025. A mobile game called Steel Paws was announced. Stalcraft X Operations is... I don't know what that is. I don't even remember seeing that. Cat Game, Frag Punk, which is a 5v5 hero shooter with cards. Steel Hunters, I don't remember what that was. Clive from Final Fantasy 16 joins Tekken 8 roster. I think it's this week, actually. Splitgate 2 coming in 2025. Mecha Break is coming spring 2025. A new Virtua Fighter game teaser was revealed as a development at Sega. Turok Origins is a third-person co-op shooter prequel. They say it's sequel. That's a prequel. Warframe 1999 expansion is out now. Onimusha Way of the Sword is coming in 2026. Dungeon and Fighter Arad is a new action RPG from Nexon. There's a new Dying Light game called The Beast coming in 2025. Let's see here. I'm just skipping past stuff that's pointless to talk about. The Crimson Desert, which was revealed some time ago, is coming in late 2025. Double Dragon Revive is coming October 23rd, 2025. It's a revival of the Double Dragon series. New stuff for Zenless Zone Zero. New update for Honkai Star Rail. A game called Wuthering Waves coming to PS5 next year. There's a 90s racing series that's returning called Screamer. And there was a teaser for new Sonic racing game, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. And then a Game of Thrones King's Road is coming in 2025 to mobile. Okay, so that is a brief summary of everything that was announced there, minus a handful of things I just skipped over. But go ahead and we'll go back and forth on which things stood out to us the most, and I'll let you start us off.
All right. So the first thing I'll start off is just Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Now, it's been a while since we've had a new Ninja Gaiden, or at least more specifically, a 2D Ninja Gaiden game. I mean, I could be wrong, but I want to say that, what I can't remember what the official name is, but I just know it's a DS because that's the type of thing that happens with the Nintendo DS. There was one for there was a Ninja Gaiden. I think it was like Dragon Strike or Dragon something for the DS. I think that probably might have been the last 2D Ninja Gaiden game outside of the NES games. I think also there was a Super Nintendo enhancement version of those games. But so I mean, granted, it's been a long while since we've had a Ninja Gaiden game in general. Because I mean, of course, we had the remasters of the I guess reboot trilogy, but nothing else since then. So getting a new game is pretty cool. Now, I sucked at Ninja Gaiden on the NES. I mean, I played that, I think on the NES Classic, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing horrible at this. I mean, I'm kind of having fun, but at the same time, I just suck at this so much. But, you know, I think it's cool that the series is coming back. And I mean, I can't remember if this is the same. I know that the publisher at least usually publishes like good stuff. Dotemu.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm familiar with them. I mean, and they're also working with Koei Tecmo. So you know, it looks good. I really love the graphics. They look nice. Nice, good pixel graphics. And so I have faith that this will be a good game. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I don't know if this is going to be like sort of a soft reboot or if it's going to be a continuation from the original games, but either way, yeah, it looks good to me.
Yeah, that was definitely one that stood out to me a lot. I've never played a Ninja Gaiden game other than maybe trying out like a demo at some point. I know that these games are notoriously hard, but man, the art style and just, I mean, I love the pixel art, and the gameplay looks like super fast paced and crazy, and I want to try this one out. So I mean, I don't know necessarily if it'll be a day one purchase for me or anything like that, but especially because I just have no idea if I'd even be able to handle it, but it looks so good. It was easily one of the best looking games in the show for me, and I think it was just about the first announcement that they had, one of the first ones, so. But yeah, looks fantastic. In terms of my first thing that I want to talk about here, and this is just going kind of all over the place, but in terms of order. So the first thing I want to talk about, I didn't even see the announcement because since I was still editing the podcast, I didn't start watching the Game Awards until it was like there was like maybe an hour left in the show, and I just rewinded back to the very beginning, and I was just kind of fast forwarding through trying to find any announcements that came up. So I missed the announcement at the show, but as mentioned in the summary we did earlier, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to Steam on January 23rd, and I am hyped about this. I am so excited about it because I was not expecting it to come this soon. Like, I knew that technically it could have come as early as May 29th of 2024 because it was, just that three month guaranteed exclusivity for the PS5, but I mean, this is great. I am so happy it's coming over because I've been really anxious. I shouldn't say anxious. Like, I've been perfectly fine waiting, but it was also a game that I knew I would be buying as soon as it became available. And the best thing about this is, on top of the fact that it's, coming to PC and it's going to be the best version of the game, it's also that right now, if you buy it through Steam, if you pre-order, it's 30% off. If you buy it through Green Man Gaming, it's 43% off. And so Green Man Gaming, instead of spending $70 on the game, I spent $40. So it's like, actually, I bought it, pre-ordered it through Steam, and then I saw that Green Man Gaming had like another $9 off the price. So I went ahead and refunded my Steam purchase and then bought it on Green Man Gaming so I could get it for cheaper. But it's like, hey, that's a way better value. I mean, $40 for this game is fantastic. I'm so happy about that. And to make matters even better, Square Enix is apparently working to optimize this for Steam Deck, which is like, yes. Now, I'm not expecting 60 frames per second, but I will be perfectly happy if I can get 40, because I was able to get a very consistent 40 frames per second for Final Fantasy VII Remake and for Intermission, which is the DLC that came with that as part of Intergrade, and the standalone DLC, that is. And I mean, even if it doesn't run on Steam Deck, it's fine. Like, I want it to run on Steam Deck because I would love to be able to play at least some that way, because it's just very helpful to be able to make progress rather than having to play at my desktop all the time. But I'm so hyped about this. I cannot wait for this to come over. Specs look completely reasonable, and from everything I can see, the visuals are significantly improved over what they were on PS5. And even if they weren't, I wouldn't really care, because I want to play this game. I loved Remake so much, and now Rebirth is coming, and I'm super excited. So yeah.
Yeah, that definitely was quite a surprise. And I think even apart from the fact that it was announced, I think that just the release date was the biggest thing of it all. Just because, I mean, hey, that's next month. And I mean, right. Just say, hey guys, heads up, we've got Final Fantasy V coming to PC. I mean, not 5, 7 coming to PC. And also, it's, right around the corner. So go ahead and pre-order it. And I think it's cool that they also gave that special discount as well. And I mean, of course, it was cheaper on Green Man Gaming, but just get 30% off. That was pretty good. Mm-hmm. So definitely is good there. And I mean, as you said, also have Square mentioning the fact they're going to try to optimize it for the Steam Deck is another great bonus in that as well. So, definitely good news on that end.
Yeah, and of course also the fact that this is not Epic Games exclusive, that it's coming straight to Steam on day one. I mean, it'll be on Epic Games as well, which is fine. I mean, by all means, they can go ahead and do that, but I'm just very happy that it's going to be on both and that I don't have to wait any longer. I mean, it wouldn't change anything for me. If this game came to Epic Games first and not to Steam, I would just wait for the Steam version, because I already have a hard enough time deciding what to play, because I have so many games that I just like, I want to play this, and I want to play this, and I want to play this, and this, and this, and this. But now it's just like, okay, I know now that I have until January 23rd to play whatever games I want to play, and then after that, it's going to be probably nothing but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, unless it doesn't run on the Steam Deck, in which case then I'll probably be swapping between games during that time, but we'll see what happens. All right, give me your next game.
All right, so I'm sort of also going to jump around a bit. I'm going to go to Turok Origins. Now, to be honest, I don't have too much of a history with Turok. I did play a little bit of Turok 2 on the N64, but the problem was for me at the time was that I bought the game originally from just a retro game store, so it didn't come with, instructions or anything like that. So when I was trying to play the game, I had no clue as to how all the controls worked. So I didn't really get too far in that, but I mean, I wanted to get into it because I heard the Turok games were good, and I tried to also figure out where I'm supposed to go. I'm just looking around like, all right, I'm dropped right in the middle of everything. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know how the controls work. So I don't even think I finished the first stage. So I mean, I've been wanting to go back to the series, I think they remastered the games on PC, so I want to get back into those, play it through that. But seeing that they have this new game, it really made me interested in getting back into the series. And the fact that it's a third-person shooter is interesting to me. I'm not entirely certain what the choice for that design would be, but it definitely at least seemed intriguing. Not sure if that would really change too much. Like I said, I don't have too much history, so I can't say for certain. But yeah, I mean, also it's it definitely seemed interesting enough. And I mean, I'm glad that they at first initially when I saw the gameplay, I thought it was gonna be like multiplayer only, but at least they can still have the option to play single player, because I don't know if I really would do multiplayer all that much. But so I'm glad they kept that aspect in there. But yeah, it definitely seems interesting to me, and I am looking forward to getting more information on it, and eventually getting back into the original games and giving them another shot.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what I think about the third person, just because it kind of seems like, is that really needed? I mean, like, it looks good. Like, graphically, it looks fantastic. And I'm sure that it plays well. I mean, from what gameplay they showed, it looked like it was, something that would play really well. I just can't really fully understand why they feel the need to make it third person when the other games were first. I mean, I guess it's possible that maybe like Turok 3 or something was third person, but I kind of doubt it. So anyway, I have never played any of the Turok games. I have 1 and 2 on Steam because I got them very recently. And I've always wanted to check it out, especially because that N64 fog just gives me so much nostalgia for that time. I'm actually kind of hoping that I can turn on the fog on the Steam version, just because it's like, I want to play that way. I want to get the feels, But anyway, yeah, I thought Turok Origins looked pretty cool. I think it's cool that they're bringing back this long dormant series, and I'll definitely be looking into that. I want to play the other ones before I consider playing Origins, because it's much easier to appreciate the gameplay improvements if you play the older games first. So, yeah. All right, next thing to talk about. This one I'm really just going to mention briefly, because it was more kind of like I got faked out by it for a second. So the thing about Final Fantasy 16. So initially when I saw the stuff for Final Fantasy 16, I thought that it was actually Final Fantasy 16 coming to Xbox. And then, they went to the Tekken part, and then it's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. I just thought it would have been really funny if it was coming to Xbox. But, I mean, the trailer that I'm showing here, of course, is not the one actually from the Game Awards, or it's not in the same order, because originally when they showed it, like, they just show the introduction of Clive from Final Fantasy 16, but they don't initially show anything related to Tekken, and so you don't know that it's Tekken until you have stuff start showing up, and then it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, that's all I wanted to mention about that. I don't know if you were faked out at all by it.
That one actually, I partially that one I sort of jumped back in because at the time I was just like cooking dinner and stuff, and so I had the Game Awards show on my phone, and so I stepped away, and then when I came back, I was like, oh, Clive is in Tekken now. So like I sort of missed that fake out part, but yeah, I definitely would have been surprised too if I had been there like 10 seconds earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I had to say about that one.
So I guess jumping again to a different thing, Shadow Labyrinth was one of the bigger things that really caught my attention, partially because of the fact that it's a Metroidvania, and I'm really, of course, just fascinated with that genre of gameplay. And I mean, I was very surprised though seeing Pac-Man in a game like this, especially have that sort of dark fantasy setting, and then just seeing Pac-Man just mercilessly eating things. I mean, granted, he's mercilessly eating ghosts, but I mean, they kind of deserve it anyway. But it does seem interesting to me, and I am very, very, very interested in this game when it comes, because like, when does it come out again? Let me quickly pull it up. Okay, it's just 2025, so no actual concrete dates. But yeah, I am very interested in this game. It definitely looks nice. It's probably, yeah, it definitely would be either the most or second most anticipated game I'm looking forward to. And because of the fact that you have Pac-Man following you around, it reminds me of Ender Lilies, because of the fact that you have your, I guess, I can't remember what they're called, but you have like the different summons following you around that help you out and perform, and pretty much are the beings that attack and do moves for you. I mean, I don't think that it doesn't really completely apply to this case, because you can attack independently of Pac-Man, but
right,
having him assist you definitely reminds me of that. So I'm looking forward to it. And also, I was kind of, I think, I was definitely surprised, because at first when I saw Bandai Namco and sort of seeing this dark atmosphere, I was like, no way, they can't be doing something with From Software, can they? I mean, granted, that's another topic we'll get into, but I was like, no way, they can't be doing something already. But yeah, so yeah, that's everything I have to say.
Yeah, this is, like you, this one definitely stood out to me. I mean, obviously, Metroidvania, and, even if it wasn't a Metroidvania, it was just a 2D, action platformer, it still just looks great. I can't talk. Still looks great. Was very interested, even without the Pac-Man thing. And, of course, the Pac-Man thing, I think, is just a very cool touch. But, yeah, I mean, it looked great regardless, and the Pac-Man thing just makes it even more interesting, more fun. So, yep, very interested. All right, the next thing that I wanted to bring up was the new game that was teased by the developer Gen Design, and this has essentially the people who were involved in the creation of Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian. Now, of those three, I have not played Ico, or at least I didn't play very much of it. I played a tiny bit. I loved Shadow of the Colossus. Like, it was just, I mean, it's one of those games that just blew me away at how good it was. And of course the music is amazing in that game too. But yeah, so I love Shadow of the Colossus. Last Guardian was good, but I didn't like it as much. either way, I'm definitely interested in this. The only thing that gives me pause is that Epic Games is involved with the development, which means it's probably going to be an Epic Games exclusive. And I'm not happy about that. But if I have to wait, I have to wait, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I that was the main thing that really kept me from having an interest, is because I knew that once I saw Epic Games, I was just knew that's rap. It's never coming over to outside of Epic Games. I mean, it'll be, of course must have to be on the PS5. I doubt it'll come there, but maybe it'll come to Xbox. But I know as far as PC goes, it's just gonna be on Epic Games Store. I really don't see Epic letting go of that and allowing it to get published anywhere else. But I mean, it's good if we can get another game that's in that genre. I mean, granted, the games were different, but if we could either get if we could get a Shadow of the Colossus, because that is a game that I really would have liked to have. I mean, of course they remastered it or remade it for the PS4, but I mean, if we could have something like that on PC, and we technically did with Pray for the Gods, which came out several years ago, but if we could still, if we got something from the original creators of Shadow of the Colossus, that would be great. But just the problem of Epic Games. So looks good. I mean, granted, we don't know much of the game. Now, one thing that I thought was really interesting, which I don't know if it was intentional, was the yellow the yellow lights running up the I guess you could say the colossi, just because of the fact that I don't know if that was maybe a minor reference about like yellow paint and like showing where to go, but I just thought that was interesting, whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, definitely. I think probably the thing that I appreciate the most about this happening is I really never thought, I wasn't sure if we would ever get another game from this creator, just because Japan Studio got closed down by Sony so many years ago. So I wasn't really sure if we'd ever see another one, but yeah, it looks promising. Just obviously, if it's going to be Epic Games exclusive, then I'll just have to wait and see what happens. See if anything changes. But talking about that, though, kind of makes me want to try to play the PS3 remaster of Shadow of the Colossus on the Steam Deck, because I bet it would probably, at least potentially could run well. I haven't looked up whether or not it does. And I don't absolutely have to replay the game, because, I played it once and I loved it, but if I didn't play it again, it wouldn't really, hurt anything. So either way, definitely interested in taking a look at this at the very least. All right, give me... no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just thought about one other thing is... I guess a slight concern is just the fact that because it's an Epic game, it's probably going to be running on UE5. So that's something that could impact at least some of the performance of the game. But, yeah. Just one thing that popped into my head.
Yeah. All right, give me your next game.
All right, now actually this one is going to be quick, and I completely forgot about this until you mentioned it in the rundown, so I'm just going to quickly be brief about this. And that is the Daybreak, DLC or whatnot for Palworld. I still haven't caught up with the other stuff that was added some time ago, but I was interested in the fact they were adding more stuff in, and stuff that could be transferred over. I hope that I do hope that certain stuff won't break, because I do know that with trying to obtain certain stuff before some of the updates, it made it harder to go back and find what you're looking for. So I'm hoping that this isn't the case for this particular update. I mean, it seems interesting enough. It kind of seems better than the last one they had. But they'll have more definitely more stuff, especially with the weapons and armor that you can use. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I haven't played Palworld in a while, but maybe I'll jump back in at some point. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Good to know. All right. Next thing I'm gonna talk about here is Outer Worlds 2. So I still have not finished the Outer Worlds, but what I've played of the game, I've always loved. I think I just got stuck at one point, and more just in terms of I was having trouble getting past some enemies, and so I just never really continued. But what I played of that game, I mean, it's hilarious and it's fun. I think actually the only thing that I really didn't like so much about that game is just how difficult it was to maintain ammo. That was the one thing that I found annoying, but otherwise, the humor is great, the visuals are great. Just it's not supposed to be a very long game. I just never finished it, but yeah, Outer Worlds 2 looks great. Of course, I definitely would want to play the rest of the first game before I would even consider checking out the second one, but I could definitely see myself checking it out in the future for sure.
Yeah. Now I do want to say that I thought the intro for the trailer was very funny. Just the repeated so and so 2 from the creators from so and so 2, the critters of so and so 2.
Yeah. And
then finally just getting to Outer Worlds 2. Now I need to sort of go back to the game, or at least I'm interested in getting started in the game because of the fact that it the game was free on GOG, and so I got a free copy. Or it wasn't free on GOG. It was free via Amazon Prime.
Right.
So I got a copy of that. So I only found out about it after the Game Awards show and got it there. So at some point I went to go back and play the game, try the game, and see if I would be interested in the sequel. Now, out of curiosity, just because I wasn't really looking too much at the game at the time, I was still just still listening while I was cooking. What type of genre is the game exactly? Because I never followed the first game too much.
It's basically very similar to Fallout in terms of its gameplay. So, and you could watch the comparison I did if you didn't already, and that gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect with the game. I mean, I didn't do as much of I didn't do very much in the way of side stuff, but it still will give you a pretty good idea of what to expect. So yeah. But yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I got the GOG copy as well through Prime, and I mean, of course I haven't booted it up because I already had it on Steam, but definitely good to get a DRM free version. So, all right, give me your next game.
All right, so this one is one that I think definitely will apply to both of us, and that is Elden Ring Night's Reign. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I saw From Software, I thought, no way, this is a From Software game. What are they doing this time? Like they said, and especially since it started looking like Elden Ring, I thought it can't be Elden Ring 2. They said there were no plans for Elden Ring 2, and even if they had Elden Ring 2 coming, it would be way off. That's a game that would be way into the future. And then realizing, no, this is Elden Ring, but it's sort of a new game, and I was very intrigued. And I think the most intriguing part of the game is the fact that or at least it seems like it was possibly completely a co-op based game, which is different. It's really different from From Software's type of game. I mean, sure, there have been co-op elements in their games, but not to this degree. It hasn't been like a main focus. So that was interesting. Now, I was also very surprised to see the Nameless King appear in the game, and which boss, by the way, was from Dark Souls 1 that you saw? Because I thought I saw the Gaping Dragon, but I wasn't entirely certain if that's what I saw.
I'm not sure about Gaping Dragon, but there's Centipede Demon was in there.
Okay. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I want to know the reason why though that they put previous Souls and bosses in this game, because having that type of crossover has not happened before. I mean, outside of course, certain mainstays like the Moonlight Greatsword, or having some variant of, oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who always like backstabs you, Patches.
Oh, yeah,
like
Patches.
There's always a Patches
Yeah.
these days, but never actually having an actual full boss from another game. So that's definitely interesting. I also think it's interesting how you don't have oh gosh, what's the name of your mount?
Oh, gosh, it's on the tip of my brain.
It's not like Storm something.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the tip of my brain. I can't remember the name of the mount.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting that you now have a flying one that carries you around instead of, just riding your spectral horse around. So I thought that was interesting because it will definitely change how you move around the world, especially if trying to get to certain stuff where it seems like you would in any other game try to climb up there, but now you can fly up there. So I thought that was a very interesting change of things. Now, from what it seems like on Steam, it's multiplayer only, which is the one thing I am not fond of, just because of the fact that I kind of avoided playing multiplayer, which is, from what you said, a similar thing, because of the fact that worrying about being invaded by enemies while you're online. If this is a game where you don't have any sort of engagement like that, if it's not, you can invade and fight with other characters, and it's more so, yeah, it's mostly just co-op, similar to something like Monster Hunter, then I'm definitely down for that. I do hope that you can at least play the game by yourself, just because I like having that option of playing the game by myself if I want to, and not necessarily having to rely on necessarily anyone else, or just because I don't want to play with anyone else. So I hope that is something that we still can do down the road. But overall, though, I'm definitely intrigued, and I'm very interested in this. I don't know if this will be something I get day one, especially since I still need to go back and get through Elden Ring in general, and then eventually down the road play the DLC. But this is definitely very interesting to me, and I look forward to give it a shot. Now, one thing also, because this seems to be standalone, I wonder if we're able to transfer certain stuff like our gear over to this game, or if this is just completely separate altogether and there's no sort of transfer whatsoever, and just go in with what you have or what the game gives you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, so a few things to clear up on that. For one, you can play single player, but it's designed around multiplayer. My understanding is that there is no PvP, so you don't have to worry about invasions. It is a rogue-like / roguelite. I guess it would be considered more of a roguelite. So you can do some permanent upgrades, but it's not like you completely start over with absolutely nothing. I don't think you retain your levels or anything. There's 8 different character classes, which they haven't specifically said what all 8 of them are. You just kind of get an idea of at least 7 of them for sure in the trailer that they show here. I believe each run can go about, I think it sounded like you could get through an entire 3-day cycle in about 40 minutes, or at least get to the boss at the end in that amount of time. or that's how much time you basically have to get to the boss. Like it takes 40 minutes to get to either to the boss, or you get a total of 40 minutes to get through those days, and then it takes you to the final arena, something to that effect. I don't have all the details offhand. I'm just mostly going off of memory from what I read and heard. There's no fall damage, which is something that's welcome. With the different character classes, so you have a set setup when you start up with a character, and I believe you can pick up new gear during a run, just like you would with any other roguelite that is usable during that run. But I believe that it isn't something you maintain beyond that. And I don't think that like levels get maintained or anything necessarily. I'm not entirely clear on that front. Let's see here. What else was there? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I can't remember. What were the other concerns you had about it?
Yeah, I think the only concerns I had were you being restricted to co-op, and as a result, possibly having to deal with PvP. But since both of those are, since both of those aren't an issue, then that's really the main thing I had with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, now I'm just looking forward to it, essentially.
Right. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you can revive your teammates by hitting them. You hit them with your weapon to revive them. So I mean, at least unless all three of you die, in which case I think then your run is over. But as long as you're not all dead, then you'll still be able to go. You'll still be able to continue on. So, yeah. But yeah, there's everything I've seen about this game. It looks amazing. I too am not like a huge, I don't want to have to do co-op because it can be fun, but it's so hard to find time to do co-op with people most of the time. So I typically prefer to just do single player unless I actually have the availability to do co-op. And yeah, it looks like it'll just be fun. I don't know that it'll be a day one thing for me, because even though it is standalone, I'm not sure if I necessarily would want to dive into it right away, especially since I still haven't even made much of any progress in Elden Ring itself. And I know that even though they're not connected, it's still just like, I feel like I should get comfortable with Elden Ring fully and actually, do everything there is to do in Elden Ring, or at least, get through the story and side bosses and the DLC before I even consider jumping into Night Rain. But I still think it looks amazing, and I like the concept of it, and that you don't have to grind out a bunch, and it just seems like it could be a lot of fun. So, and it's going to be $40, so it's not too bad of a price for what you get, and I think that it's probably going to have a lot of replay value to it because of the fact that you can do a lot of runs. And I do want to mention, because of course you brought it up, but obviously I also noticed the Nameless King immediately when I saw him, because I pretty much had just fought him in Dark Souls 3. And it's just like, oh, that's cool. And you have a lot more room to run around from the looks of it. And it's funny when they show the Centipede Demon, like, the hardest part about that fight was the fact that it was in a lava arena before you had the ring that reduced lava damage. And, here it's like you're fighting him over water, and so like a large portion of what made him so difficult, or what made the fight challenging at all, was having all the lava, and you don't have to deal with that. But yeah, I just think it looks fantastic, and I do want to check it out. I just don't know how early it will be because of everything else. So. All right. I do have a few other things, or maybe it's just a couple more. No, yes, I do have a few. So one of the first ones I want to talk about, it's another co-op game, and it's one that I'm in between on because I think it looks really fun, but I'm not entirely sure if I would actually play it because I don't do a whole lot of co-op games, and that is Split Fiction, which is the new game from the guy who made those other co-op games like No Way Out and It Takes Two, and just it just looks really fun, and it's like a combination. You have the two characters going through different worlds that are switch between fantasy and sci-fi, and like you have portions where you're basically like Samus, and then just like the sci-fi stuff, it looks. I mean, the sci-fi and the fantasy stuff both just look really fun. I mean, like, I didn't play any of the other games, mostly just because I don't do a whole lot of co-op stuff, but this one, if I was going to play a co-op game, this would probably be it, because it just looks really, really good. And, of course, I like the fact that they actually, like, made people who look like real people and, you know, not, for some random reason, you know, women who shave their heads. Yeah, I just think it looks really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It looks good, but for the same reason as you know, it's a co-op game, and being in a situation to play something like this in co-op is rare, so it just personally isn't worth my time to really get into. It does look fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I could find someone, if I had the time and everything, you know, like someone I could consistently play co-op, I would absolutely love to play it. And there are other games, you know, like that where I would be interested in playing it. It's just, you know, my wife doesn't play video games a whole lot, and of course, this does have local co-op, which is great. But even so, I don't know that I would necessarily want to dive into it. I think it's one of those that maybe what I would consider doing is if this became available. I mean, like someday when the price is right, you know, when it's like really cheap, I would be willing to check it out and try to convince my wife to play it along with me. But that's probably the only way I could see myself doing that. So, yeah. But it does look really, really good. All right. The next, I guess I should ask first, did you have any other games that you want to talk about? Because I have two more. Yeah, two more.
No, that's everything on my end.
Okay. So, next thing I want to talk about is the Okami sequel. So, it doesn't have a title. It just, Okami sequel is all they have so far. I love the original Okami. It took me a few tries to actually get into it, because the very first time I tried playing it on the Wii, and I just had a really hard time getting into it. But then I wanted to give it another chance, so when it came to Switch, I got it on the Switch, and I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic game. It was fantastic, so good. I never got around to playing the DS sequel, but it's one of the, well, part of the reason I haven't gotten around to it is mostly because, for one, it's a really rare game. It's really hard to find. But then two, because of the fact that I know that there's a way to emulate it on 3DS with like widescreen and everything else, and just like improved performance and stuff, and I just haven't gotten around to going through the effort to do that, because it's all mod based, and I haven't taken the time to mod DS games to run better and work better with the 3DS. So
Yeah, I feel like this is. I mean, I could be wrong, but I want to say this is probably the game that people were saying like, "Oh, this is the surprise that people wouldn't expect."
Yeah,
Um, I mean, and
one of them at least.
one of them at least. Uh, and I mean, to Capcom's credit, they've started saying that they would start reviving dormant franchises. So, this could definitely be the beginning of seeing stuff they haven't done in a long time. I was interested in getting at one point the original, or at least getting the remastered version, but on PC. But then I heard that the game was capped at 30 FPS, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
I mean,
But,
I would say if you were to get it on Switch, because then you have the touch controls for the brush strokes, which makes a big difference. It makes it control a lot better. I mean, the 30 frames per second sucks, but if you can get used to it, it's like, well, it's literally your only option, because on Steam, there's not even a mod to get it up to 60. And I mean, the trailer for the sequel is in 60. So, I mean, at least I'm pretty sure it's in 60. So they should theoretically, I mean, they better put it in 60. There's no good reason not to. It's like there's no good reason. Something I do want to mention about this that we didn't already mention is that Hideki Kamiya is back helping with this after having left Platinum Games, and he's working with Capcom to make this sequel. So that's very cool.
yeah, and we also now know the name of his new studio, Clovers, which great that he's back in action and he can get to making more great titles, and so also great, like you said, him working on this.
Yep, for sure. All right, last game I wanted to talk about was Naughty Dog's new project. And that one was actually pretty surprising to me, because I mean, I think that this was, of course, one of the things that Jason Schreier was referring to as like, oh, this is finally being revealed, because Naughty Dog hasn't put out a new IP since The Last of Us in 2013. And so this is their first new IP since then. I don't know what to think about this game. For starters, I don't trust Naughty Dog, particularly Neil Druckmann, after what he did with The Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, visually, it's stunning. I mean, of course it is. Naughty Dog is a master when it comes to making very excellent looking, very realistic looking, beautiful games. And some of the concepts behind it are kind of cool, even if it is a little, already done, and, not new. But the protagonist, that shaved head, is automatically a red flag for me. And there is like a supposed leak regarding the plot out there right now, which I'm not going to talk about here because anybody listening, I don't want to spoil it for somebody who's actually wanting to play this game. And the plot actually sounds pretty decent, and it sounds actually very believable. Like it seems very likely that the leaked plot is a legitimate plot. So it's not as though there's actually technically an explanation for her shaving her head, but I still I don't like it, because it's one of those things that it just feels completely unnecessary to do that. I don't know. There's really the number one red flag for me is just the fact that it's Naughty Dog doing it and that Neil Druckmann is still involved. It's funny though, someone pointed out with this that the red jacket and the beam sword basically make it look like it's a bald female version of Travis Touchdown. Now, from the sounds of what the plot is supposedly, it's definitely not anywhere near the same plot as No More Heroes. But it's obvious that, well, it seems obvious to me that that's probably part of where the inspiration came from for the character design and all of that. I don't know. I'm very much like, I want to believe that Naughty Dog can make a great game again. And not to say, I mean, in terms of gameplay, obviously their games have been well designed, albeit very samey, because basically starting with Uncharted, they've had exactly the same formula, minus the fact that The Last of Us, they added zombies to it. It's just, been very, very similar between the two series, and it looks like this could potentially have more action-based gameplay that's not just a cover-based shooter with third-person cover-based shooter with stealth elements. But honestly, I don't really know until we actually see it in action, because all we have right now is just a cinematic trailer, and I don't trust Naughty Dog. They have not demonstrated to me with the decisions they've been making between The Last of Us Part 2 and the stuff that they started to do in for like The Last of Us TV show. It just doesn't give me a whole lot of faith. The only thing that I will say about this that makes me more intrigued, at the very least, is that the way that the character interacts with the robot thing at the very end of the trailer gives me almost Souls vibes, or even just No More Heroes vibes. And if they had combat that was like that could actually make it really fun to play, because I love No More Heroes, especially 1 and 2. 3 I'm kind of mixed on. But yeah, it's I'm at least interested. I'll keep an eye on it, and if the plot that leaked is true, I'm mixed on that. I think that what I've heard doesn't bother me nearly as much as what they did with Last of Us Part 2, because Last of Us Part 2, it was killing off a beloved character, and this one, there's some stuff, but I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, since this game, we don't even have a release window for this, let alone anything else. And it's very possible that someone just made up the plot details and that they're not actually accurate at all. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
Well, so before they show the trailer, did they say it was from Naughty Dog or who it was from, or no?
I don't think they did at the beginning. No, they just said that it was like a beloved developer, basically, and it wasn't until the very end of the trailer that they actually said it was from Naughty Dog.
Okay, because at first I didn't hear anything about that. So when I saw probably about the first 10-20 seconds of the game, I already didn't really have much of an interest in the game at all. And then when I saw it was Naughty Dog game, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much already out at this point. I mean, could the game be fun? Yes, but at the same time, I'm a very hard person to regain trust. I'm a once bitten, thrice shy kind of person,
yeah.
And I sort of expressed that with my disdain for certain companies. So like, I really do not have any faith or trust in Naughty Dog, regardless of like all the games they put out in the past. Granted, I think the only game I really played was one of the Uncharted games on the PS3, but that was probably about it, and I never played The Last of Us at all, so I don't really have any attachment to the company anyway. But, this does not seem like a game that I'm really interested in or would be interested in, so it's something that I would definitely pass. If I heard something that was really good, or rather, I heard a lot of things that were really good on multiple ends. Maybe I would be interested in trying it, but it would definitely be a long while before that happened. But just as it stands now, I'm just not interested at all in the game. So it's definitely a pass for me, unless I hear enough good things that I could say, all right, I'll buy this on sale. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, it's highly unlikely that I would ever actually buy this game. Well, I mean, play it for that matter. I mean, I wouldn't pirate it anyway, but, you know, like, the only way I would probably consider it is if I got it for free. I might check it out, but that's really the only way I could see myself doing it, because I don't trust Naughty Dog, and I don't know, I'm tired of having these games that just look super pretty and don't have as much depth necessarily. And yeah, I mean, if I found out that it is in fact a Souls-like, then maybe I would be more interested, but still, I have such issues with Naughty Dog that I just don't trust them to make something that I am willing to put my money towards. Especially because, as I say all the time, I have too many games to play already to be willing to put money down on a game that I only have the tiniest interest in. And even if people praise it immensely, well, a lot of people praise The Last of Us Part 2. And, you know, I don't agree with what they say, mostly because of what they did story-wise. Now, gameplay, I don't have any doubts. The Last of Us Part 2 has vast improvements over the first game. But the story stuff to me just felt like a complete betrayal of people who loved certain characters, and the story also just had issues that straight up didn't make sense. And I don't know, I really did not like what they did with it. And the problem was that the second game was already kind of a hard sell for me anyway, because like the first game was good, the story was really good, but my thing was that I didn't like playing that kind of game where it's just super tense all the time, because you're constantly having to be super stealthy to avoid the zombies, and it just was something that I did not want to deal with anymore. Like I made myself get through it, and I enjoyed it enough, but I never played it a second time. And that says a lot about it. Whereas, you know, like the Uncharted games, I was happy to go back to, because I enjoyed the gameplay and I enjoyed the tone, and it wasn't something where it was like tense or anything. It was just a cool story, cool characters. I mean, like Nathan Drake is a fantastic character, and of course Nolan North is just like perfect in that role. I mean, he is Nathan Drake, and so it was, you know, really easy to remain invested from that standpoint. But Last of Us, even though the story was engaging, and that was really the one thing that kept me going more than anything else. Not to say that there was anything wrong with the gameplay, just not really my style. But with the second game, knowing what they did with the story, I could not bring myself to even consider giving it any money whatsoever, and I've never played it, and I'm not going to play it. Oh yeah, something I do just want to comment on real quick, and obviously if you have anything else to say about it, you can say that as well, but with The Last of Us Part 2 coming to PC, it's like, I don't want the game, but I'm also kind of glad it's finally happening just to get it over with. Because there will be some people who will buy it. I didn't see who's doing the port. I'm hoping that Sony was wise enough to not use Iron Galaxy again for it, and they actually have someone better doing the port. Because right now, it is the only PC port that they've done that has been a bad port so far. Every other port has been great, especially anything that has Nexus attached to it. But then there's also can't remember the name of the developer, the port studio that did the God of War games, and they did an excellent job on theirs as well. So, yeah.
I think let me pull this up because I think I want to say, oddly enough, yeah. Here's the crazy thing: the developer is Naughty Dog, Nixxes, and Iron Galaxy. Which is definitely an interesting combo.
Are you talking about for part 1 or for part 2?
Part 2.
Okay.
That's who's under the developer.
Well, if Nixxes is involved, then I trust that it will probably be a good port. I think that after what happened with the last one, they realized they cannot put out that bad of a port again. They can't do that again.
Yeah. That's definitely true.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This isn't a game that I wanted to come over. I would have much preferred getting something else. Like, if they said, hey, we're going to bring over Gravity Rush, We're going to bring over Shadow of the Colossus Remastered. We're going to bring over, dare I say, Bloodborne? I mean, we could finally even even if we forgot Bloodborne, we're going to complete or fulfill more of the NVIDIA League prophecy and bring over Demon Souls. Like, if they had done that, I would have been happy. But Last of Us Part 2 remastered, yeah, no, that's a nope for me. That's a pass.
The one thing I will say that's good about that one coming over is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming before it. And I mean, I know that obviously Rebirth is developed by Square Enix and not by PlayStation, but the fact that they're both PlayStation exclusives, or have been console exclusives, we knew they would both be coming over eventually. But Rebirth, I'm so much happier that that's coming first, because we'll just leave Last of Us Part 2 to sit there and wither away and die like it deserves to. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it sells well, but it's not going to sell as well as the first game did, because people are, for one, they're going to be gun shy after how bad the port for Part 1 was. But then 2, they're also going to be concerned. I mean, there's also going to be a lot of people who won't buy it because of the PSN requirement. It's like,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, of course, there's a bunch of people who just straight up can't buy it because of the PSN requirement. 180 countries that can't buy it. So, whatever, Sony. But yeah, obviously I'm extremely hyped, as I've said so many times already, about Rebirth, and looking forward to playing that one. The only thing that's really bad about it is it's 155 gigs. It's a lot, but it was 2 Blu-ray discs for the PS5 version, and that was before they did the enhancements that they did for the PC version. So, but yeah, either way. So yeah, good stuff. All right, anything else from the Game Awards you wanted to discuss?
No, sir.
All right.
Although I guess I'll just quickly say, when the trailer for Elden Ring Night Reign was revealed, and this was before we got the actual Game of the Year announced, I thought, well, I guess we know what Game of the Year 2025 is gonna be. Because I was like, if Shadow of the Erdtree wins Game of the Year again, we're just gonna have like 3 years of Elden Ring getting Game of the Year. But yeah, it didn't win. But at the time, I was thinking, well, we got 3 years in a row for Elden Ring.
Well, Elden Ring was 2022, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. What was I gonna say about that? Gosh, there was something I was gonna say about that Elden Ring thing. Oh yes. It could definitely be in the running potentially for Game of the Year, but I have a feeling that because of the fact that it's not that same single player experience, it probably wouldn't get Game of the Year next year. And I think that there's at least a handful of big games coming out next year. I mean, you have Death Stranding 2, which, of course, will likely end up being my Game of the Year. Well, that is, if it comes to PC. If it doesn't come to PC, then it won't be my Game of the Year. And then Rebirth might end up being that. But, yeah, I can't remember what else there is next year. Oh, there's Monster Hunter Wilds and plenty of other stuff. But anyway, I mean, obviously, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which certainly has a chance to make the running. We'll just have to wait and see what all Nintendo brings out next year, because if that's Nintendo's biggest game next year, then I think it will be in the running. If it's not Nintendo's biggest game next year and they do like a 3D Mario, then Mario will probably take the spot instead. So what they really need to have is they need to have a category for Metroidvanias. But I know that the only problem is that Metroidvanias don't have enough wide appeal for it to get its own category. So, because people are crazy, or just because they haven't tried them. Anyway, that is everything I have as well.